Good morning to everyone in Europe, and good afternoon or good evening to all those joining from the East. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. So today we're going to be focusing on current market trends and exploring the role of clean technology in the shipping industry post-pandemic. In order to do that, we've gathered representatives from 3 SME clean technology companies to give their perspectives. And this is specifically from the fields of antifouling technology, propulsion optimization, digitalization, and hydrogen fuel cells.
If you listen to the IMF, their belief is that we're going to see a worldwide recession with negative growth this year on GDP. But they're still optimistic on 2021, where they believe that we'll bounce back up with an almost 6% growth during next year. There's, of course, a lot of things that can affect this. But looking at the numbers is still a fairly optimistic view that we'll be more or less back on track. Not really back on track where we were, but at least getting back in line during winter and next year.
The first item, which is then directly related to the idling of ships that is now increasing due to the lack of needs of transporting goods. We have tried to figure out how much or how many ships are idling, which is very difficult, of course, but there are certain articles that are clearly hinting that so-called warm layup is ongoing in all different vessel segments, ranging from container ships to dry bulks and so on, and maybe even for floating storage purposes. Maybe not warm layup, but longer idling periods.
So next step, AI. Again, I mentioned this before, that AI goes beyond traditional analytics. Looking at what we do with fuel opt and fleet analytics, we are sort of setting the scene to be able to get a AI system on top of that. We are working with different AI system and machine learning companies to help them with the data and see how we can integrate our services. So that's something we're working on when it comes to voyage prediction, voyage planning, route optimization, and ETA simulation.
By a couple of years to come, we would be able to reach easily the 9 or 10 or 12 megawatt you'd need for an oil tanker, for instance, for slow steaming. So we believe in this development for the future and hope that you have understood that now is the time to reflect. It's the time to really look at what's coming in the years to come. Of course, you need to save your business as well. But yeah, time to act.
One of the questions actually that's come in, I guess this gives an opportunity for Johan and for Mikael to answer perhaps. The question is there an opportunity for Lean Marine and PowerCell to collaborate in building a better future? And I guess the underlying question here is, are the 2 technologies offered by your companies compatible in any way?
I don't know who's
Yes.
Go ahead, Mikael.
Thank you, Johan. I would say yes. Fuel opt as a system is basically a power balancing system and a control system. So it's built for being able to manage several different propulsion sources. So having a main engine that runs on heavy fuel oil plus PowerCell technology, i.e. power packs, plus, for an example, wind power is no problem for the system to handle. That's exactly what it does. So it can come in and work very nicely with energy cells and with other type of power sources as well. So that is my answer to it.
Yeah, allow me just to tap in. I think actually power optimization of power levels is very important for fuel cells to be on the right sort of spot on the curve, on the power curve, so you increase the efficiency of the fuel cell system. You can save a lot of hydrogen, a lot of fuel by doing that. So yes, definitely we would have something to do in the future and together.
And another question, Philip, is you mentioned the vessels are idling under threat from barnacle fouling. Where are the zones where barnacle fouling is the biggest threat?
Well, there are so-called, or I at least call them, barnacle paradises here and there in the world that we've been reported from paint makers to exist. Could be South America's coast outside of Brazil. Virtually speaking, tropical areas are a constant challenge because of the temperatures and the sunlight that sometimes even reflected from the bottom of the sand bed, which causes then a more diverse fouling pressure on also the flat bottom. So areas where there's sunlight, nutrition, and quite a good, decent average temperature around the world are certainly areas where ships will have much more trouble with fouling unless they have strong anti-fouling products, of course. Should be mentioned that that's also the areas where most ships tend to trade today, because globalization grows. These countries where populations are large, and those are Southeast Asia, South America, and so on, which are all located in these kind of areas. So that's a big shift that we need to consider moving forward.
And so all that's left for me to say is thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining us. Stay safe and have a really great day. Thanks a lot.